And here we are again. It's the 28th of October, the day I'm recording this, and believe it or not, this month has just flown by. Hard to believe we're at the end of October, going into November, and we're wrapping up really the first stage of the Oscar race. I always say September and October are kind of your pure speculation stages. It's the or months, I should say, for it's one stage, but. This is where it's like, okay, we have the films that we've seen get released before September, how they do and stuff, and it's like, oh, could that one potentially be an Oscar player and so on. Then we have the fall film festivals. We have some of the early stuff gets seen and kind of slated, and we kind of get, one or two feelers out there for, ooh, looks like this one could do really well, or this one, could surprise us when we get to December, when some of the early precursor awards like the Globes, which we're going to talk about today, or eventually when SAG comes around and all that, when that happens. But anyways, yeah, so now when we get into November, this is the early frontrunner stage. This is where we start to get kind of, again, your feelers are a lot more prevalent now. Almost everything gets screened by the end of November, practically every year. There's always, there might be one or maybe two surprise films that wait until December, toward the end of December, before even the critics get their eyes on them, whether it's because they just need that time to get the film ready, or sometimes the studio just feels like, okay, that's kind of their better release pattern. It kind of depends. But for now, we're going to go ahead and jump into some Golden Globes talk. We haven't really talked much about them this year yet. But before we begin, of course, there was some big news last week. Warner Brothers announced that they are going to slate One Battle After Another, the Paul Thomas Anderson film, which is my favorite to win Best Picture right now. It's my vote for who I would pick right now to win Best Picture. They are going to run in the musical or comedy categories. Now, I didn't really blink way too much when I read that. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. I mean, having seen the film, of course, DiCaprio's, all his best bits are more comedic moments. Del Toro's supporting character very much feels like a, very comedy high moments and stuff with him as well. So yeah, I didn't really think it was like a few, too far of a thing there. And I think it's very, very smart, by Warner Brothers, a very smart move on their part to do that, because you can have a win there in the comedy musical category, should it win there. And you can also pick up the drama race if Sinners goes all the way in the drama race. But we'll get there. We'll figure that out. And the other thing too, we have to remember, this is where they're campaigning the film in those specific categories. It doesn't mean that the Globes are going to say, yes, that's where we want it to go. Sometimes they change their minds. Or I shouldn't say they change their minds. They reject what the studio projects them. Like sometimes they'll say, oh, this it's not a supporting role, it's a lead role. Or in this case, I remember Three Billboards originally wanted to be slated, Fox and everyone. They wanted it in the comedy race. They ended up going, and the Globes ended up putting it in the drama race. And with that, sometimes it works out and everything. But we'll see. We'll see what the Globes decide to do. If they decide to put it back in the drama race, then, that'll knock out a contender or two in some categories. And, we'll see. All right, so we'll go into the predictions now. Again, we'll cover just the major film categories. We won't talk score. We won't talk song, international feature, or animated feature just yet. We'll probably save that for or sometime in early December before the nominations get announced, of course. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Remembering that there are 6 nominees in each category again. My pick here to win for drama at this early race, drama picture, is Hamnet. I'm not picking Sinners here just yet. Hamnet feels much more like a Globes movie, international production, international cast and everything. It just feels kind of more like their cup of tea as a film. It also won the the People's Choice at the Toronto Film Festival. And it feels like this, Sinners, Sentimental Value, One Battle After Another, and Wicked are all 5 films that could end up with double-digit nominations and potentially kind of stake a claim as, not only one of the most nominated films of the year, but potentially, because of that factor, they could go in with a lot of momentum. And a win here at the Globes would certainly also help Hamnet out, especially since right now it's like Hamnet kind of came out of the festival circuit kind of like, yep, that feels like the early favorite to a lot of people. And then here came Warner Brothers it's kind of hold my beer moment where they're like, well, we have this PTA film, it's pretty good, trust me. And since then I think One Battle After Another has just kind of taken over. And again, the narrative with PTA, it's his time, that kind of narrative for it not only winning for director but for picture, screenplay, maybe one or two other categories in there. Throughout the night and stuff in the tech categories, probably. It very much feels like a real deal to me. But Hamnet here, with One Battle After Another in the comedy musical categories, I think does have a spot to kind of say, well, at least we can get this one. But I do have Sinners in second place. I think Sinners, I don't know if it's necessarily the Globes movie. It's not really one that this voting body usually would go to. Obviously, this voting body is getting bigger. There's a lot more voters now. So we could see potentially, kind of a couple wins that we don't expect out of Sinners, potentially here, but I have it in second place. And then Sentimental Value I have in third place. We don't always see the big international films do extremely well here at the Globes. I think Anatomy of a Fall is an example here a couple years ago. That really surprised us and won for screenplay. Got nominated a couple other places here, as I recall. So it's not like they never do it. But for example, last year, what was the Brazilian film? Fernando Torres. And I'm blanking on the title right now. Sorry. It'll come to me later. But that one, for instance, here at the Globes, it only got the actress nomination, as I recall. It did not get in for picture drama, but then ended up getting a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. So that's that one. Number 4 is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I think really, you have these three, and then after that, it's like you kind of have to dig around a little bit to find the other three nominees here. Not to say that these other three are like weak candidates, but I don't think they're as big a slam dunks as those top three. Now, Springsteen did just open. The critical reviews started really high at Telluride. Since then, they've dropped. Last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it's just barely above 60%. So there are definitely some people that didn't really jive with the Springsteen movie. Jeremy Allen White, I think, still is the talk of the movie. It's like, he might end up being potentially, if the thing really folds later on, he could end up being the sole nominee for his film at a lot of different places. Like, I can see him being the only nomination at SAG. I can see him being one of the few nominations at BAFTA, and so on and so forth. But that being said, Springsteen and some of these music biopic type films, they have tended to do pretty well here at the Globes. Mangold, as I recall, I don't think he got nominated for director here last year at the Globes, but afterwards, after that movie kind of broke out, after the Globes had announced their nominations, and then, Complete Unknown really broke out at SAG, and then got the DGA nomination, ended up getting director nomination at the Oscars and stuff. It really did kind of solidify itself at that point. So I can see Springsteen getting a spot here. In fifth place, I have A House of Dynamite. I don't have this one very, very high on my Best Picture list, but I'll explain why I have this one getting in for picture drama here. It'll become a little more clear once we get into another category here. But it's a Netflix film. The Globes tend to like Netflix. They tend to want to get it one or two spots here and there. So I think that's also a big benefit for that film. And in sixth place, I'm going to go big on The Secret Agent. It's a international film as well. It's going to be Brazil's entry this year for international feature. It feels like, this is kind of the cool kid in town right now. And it has become, I think, just and I've just read a couple little small things about it. I remember last time I was a little like I didn't know much about it. I still don't know a ton about it, but this almost does feel like one of those like real dark horse at this point contenders. Like, could this be the film, the Fernando Torres one from last year, whose the title is still escaping me? I'm Not Here. I think that's what it is, isn't it? Okay, now I'm gonna cheat here. Is it? No. I'm Not Here is the other one. No, I'm Still Here. That's what it is. I third time's a try. Third time's a charm there. I'm Still Here. Yeah, it could. It sounds like that could be it, and it could, because it looks like, okay, maybe it could get an acting race, international feature. Can it get Best Picture as well? And I think it could, with a lineup that could be a little bit weaker, a little bit easier to get into here in the drama race. I think The Secret Agent can go over well here, and if the voters really, really like it, and it gets the actor nomination in drama, which we'll get to that category here in a few minutes, then yes, I think The Secret Agent can benefit from that and get in for picture as well. A couple other ones to consider here. It Was Just an Accident. This one I think will be close. It could get in place of Springsteen, in place of A House of Dynamite. Again, it just feels like this is not really an awards body that tends to go with more international films. They tend to go bigger blockbuster. They tend to go with some of those. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago rather, they did go with James Cameron getting a director nomination, and then Avatar: The Way of Water getting a film nomination. So Avatar: Fire and Ash is also one I'm considering here for Best Picture Drama. I'd also say Frankenstein has a chance as well. And if they really, really like it, I can see the Smashing Machines really shocking us and getting, an actor nomination, maybe supporting actress for Emily Blunt, and then a picture nomination. I can see an avenue where that does happen, but we'll get there. Now to the comedy musical race for Best Picture or Best Film. I have One Battle After Another out front here. Yes, that's if it stays here. We'll see if the Globes accept it. I think they will. We've seen a couple of PTA's films get nominated in these categories before. Some of them more auspiciously than others, but I think this is one that can get in. Second place, I have Wicked for Good. I think without Emilia Perez last year, I think Wicked would have really, really done well in the Globes races. If all the controversy around that movie had happened just a bit earlier, like right as the Globes voting was happening, I think Wicked would have won like half the categories that Emilia Perez did last year at the Globes. But, the past is the past. Wicked for Good, though, I think it'll still get a boatload of nominations here at the Globes and come in good shape. Marty Supreme is in third place for me. I think this one, even if I think this one is potentially one that could fall out of a couple races at the Oscars, we'll see. That one screening at New York Film Festival did generate good, positive buzz. So, so it's not like, it's completely dead or anything. Of course not. But I have it in third place here. I think this could be one again that the Globes, with an international kind of story to it as well, could really like. And, there's one or two other films here we'll get to that I'm like, I was really leaning on putting them in, but we'll see if there's enough room. Fourth place, I have Jake Kelly. This is one, again, it feels like it has lost a lot of steam at the Oscars. Just feels like it's one, came in at the Fall Film Festival and got pretty good reviews, but there wasn't like a ton of enthusiasm around it. Just kind of felt like, okay, Noah Baumbach, he's always a good director. George Clooney, he's always good. Sandler's good in it. And it just kind of after that, it's like there was just a lot of nodding along like, yeah, it's good. There just wasn't a bunch of enthusiasm. There wasn't, a lot of people crying out that, hey, this is one of the best films of the year. If this had been, let's say this was a scenario here like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago when we had, you had to get, a certain percentage of number one votes to get a Best Picture nomination. I don't know if Jake Kelly would have had enough. I think it would have been one of those like, okay, 9th, 10th, 11th place kind of finishes. Since we have a little bit of a different system now with selecting Best Picture, it's, the top 10 films and everything. Jake Kelly, I think, can get enough number one votes and then 2, 3, and so on when they vote and everything at the Oscars. But here at the Globes, I feel like this might be, again, a little bit more of a Globes-friendly movie. It might actually outperform itself here at the Globes compared to a couple other sites, especially if Laura Dern makes it in a kind of a surprise spot there in supporting actress. If Adam Sandler can capitalize on that 6th spot in supporting actor, obviously Clooney might have a better shot here in Best Actor Comedy Musical versus Best Actor at the Oscars, and so on. Yeah. And then Begonia I have in 5th. This is another one. They're running it in the comedy musical categories. I think it'll probably stay there. Poor Things, as I recall, stayed there. They didn't put that one over to drama with Yorgos' last huge kind of bigger Oscar player, awards player, I should say. That one I think will get a spot here. And then Wake Up Dead Man. I think Wake Up Dead Man makes it in as well. I have that in 6th. The one that I was really close to putting in was actually Rental Family, because that's another one, set in Japan mostly, Brendan Fraser, we know that they kind of sort of like him. He's got a little bit of an IOU because he lost here to Austin Butler a few years ago for Elvis when Brendan pretty much went on the rest of the year to win almost everything else for The Whale. So I was close to putting that one in. Is This Thing On? The Bradley Cooper film. That could actually, again, if it strikes here, then that's a sign that has some love. No Other Choice, which I have in for Best Picture at the Oscars. I think this one will be close to getting a nomination here as well. Song Sung Blue, I think, is one that... it's a big, in the elder days of the Golden Globes, back when they were putting in, Johnny Depp for every last performance, and Hugh Jackman was getting nominated for just about any performance. I think this would have been a much, much better environment for that. But with the current voting body, I can't guarantee that this one would have gotten in. And then in my heart of hearts, I would kind of like to see an out-and-out comedy get nominated, and that's something like The Naked Gun. Which one thing, I can't remember, I don't think I brought this up in the very first video this year when we talked about the films that were already out. And do not laugh at me at this. I am dead serious with this. I am absolutely 100% dead serious. The Naked Gun actually stands, once we get the short list out, this stands a shot to get in for original song. Don't forget, Seth MacFarlane, previous nominee. He's a producer on this film. He got nominated for the TED song, Everyone Needs a Friend or something like that. There is a song at the end of this movie. In the end credits, it's a silly song. Sometimes we see that the Oscars have that mood where they'll put in a sillier song, like the South Park song or Husavik from the Euro, whatever. They put that one in. Whether it's a silly movie or sometimes a silly song, sometimes they're in that mood. So if the Naked Gun song makes it in on the short list, I might just put it in to get nominated. And I know everyone else is going to be like, what? But hear me out. I think it's a very real possibility. Now, will that happen here at the Globes? I don't know. I feel like if it was going to happen at the Globes, it would feel weird if it got song and nothing else. Like it's a possibility, obviously, but I think if it had a stronger chance at getting in for like the acting races for the comedy musical categories and stuff, then yeah, I would probably say the song had a much better shot, but we'll see. The director race, 6 directors I have in. Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, early frontrunner here. Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Jafar Pahani. I have him just getting in for It Was Just an Accident, and it is one of those weird cases where I could see him get in because of the Cannes deal, because traditionally your Cannes, either director winner or your Palme d'Or winning film, the director usually gets in at the Oscars. It's usually one of those two. This could be a weird thing, because remember, a few years ago we saw, what's her name? Regina King get nominated for director here at the Globes for One Night in Miami, and then that film missed for Drama Picture. So there is some precedence here for something like that to possibly happen. And in 6th place, I have Catherine Bigelow for House of Dynamite. That's why I have it in for picture drama. It feels like one of those movies that could get director, picture, and nothing else. The same way Mad Max did, the same way Avatar, Way of Water did. There's one other example, and I'm blanking on it. But yeah, it's not exactly, something that we never, ever see. And don't forget, too, ever since, what was the year? 2018? Somewhere in there. This is a Golden Globes Academy here, or whatever, voting body, that loves to put multiple female directors in. They really like to get more than one female director in if it's a realistic thing. So I would say yes. I would say Catherine, probably after Chloe Zhao, has the absolute best chance. We do have Mona Fastvold, who's directing Testament of Anne Lee, which was a pickup after the fall circuit there. That's a female director that could get in. Otherwise, for other female directors to watch out for, Mary Bronstein directed If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which feels like if it gets in for anything, it'd be actress only, and that's including here at the Globes. Yeah, otherwise, I don't think we're going to see... the only other one, I don't know if I can even pronounce her name here, Katur Ben Hania for the voice of Hin Rahab. Possibly. I mean, what was the film that made it in here? Was it last year or 2 years ago? Oh, geez, someone's gonna have to help me here. It was like the Indian film, I think. It ended up not being eligible at the Oscars. All We See Is Light, or All That We Can See Is Light. A title was something similar to that. I never ended up seeing the movie, but that one got in for director here as well. So one of those, I think, you have to keep an eye on here. Otherwise, some other male directors to look out for. Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, possibly. If Marty Supreme overperforms here at Globes, this could be a spot where it gets a director nod, but not much. I could see Josh not getting nominated the rest of the way, unless it's like a slam dunk, like easily one of the best films of the year type deal. They like Yorgos here, so Yorgos could get a spot. John M. Chu could get a shot here. Maybe even Park Chan-wook is one that we might overlook here. Otherwise, Kleber Mendoza Filho is the secret agent director. That would it'd be something. It'd be something to see this one break into the director race. But you'll see. I've got it in a couple other spots there for the secret agent. Let's get into the lead acting races, starting with lead actor drama. Jeremy Allen White's, again, my early front runner here. I've got Michael for Springsteen. Michael B. Jordan's in second place for me for Sinners. Dwayne Johnson I have in third place for The Smashing Machine. He's going to benefit from having a few of the other contenders that are up for Best Actor potentially at the Oscars. Some of them are in the comedy race, so he'll benefit there. In fourth place for now, I have Colin Farrell for Ballad of a Small Player. That feels like one that could fall out. Wagner Moura I do have in for The Secret Agent. And then in the sixth spot, I couldn't really... I looked around, I'm like, I don't really feel super confident about the rest of the field here. So I'm like, I'm going to go Daniel Day-Lewis, DDL, for Anemone. And again, I've heard a couple different pronunciations for the film title, but Anemone is the one I originally heard, so I have stuck with that one. But someone can correct me if I'm totally butchering the name there. Otherwise, Joel Edgerton has had a couple, at least one Golden Globe nomination in the past, as I recall, for Loving. There might be one other one I'm spacing on, but Train Dreams is one that there's not like a ton of buzz, but it is a Netflix film, so that could be an easily accessible film for the voters. Potentially Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein. There is some buzz for Dylan O'Brien for Twinless. It's kind of a little bit of underground campaign, but yeah, it kind of gets a little thin there this year in actor drama. For actress drama, I think for this one here, because I have it winning for picture drama, I'm going to go Jessie Buckley ahead here for that one for Best Actress Drama. For the moment, I still have Renee Renvie in for Sentimental Value in second place here. I have her in first place still at the Oscars just for now as that early, front runner. But I could switch her out. I could probably put Jessie ahead there. I probably will at some point here very soon. Jennifer Lawrence in third place for Die My Love. They just adore Jennifer Lawrence here. It's like almost every time she does a movie, she gets nominated. And Die My Love, again, it's a movie release. I don't think this one's going to quite have the legs as something like The Substance last year, another release they had. But yeah, I think with her being a multiple pastime winner, even if it's not like their favorite film, I think they'll put that one in because of her. Julia Roberts, I have in fourth place for now for After the Hunt, a film that continues to disintegrate at the box office, and critical reviews are not great on it. But again, everyone says Julia is great in it. So again, a past winner here at the Globes. I can totally see her getting a nomination here. Fifth place, I am going to go Sydney Sweeney for Christie. I think if it's just enough of the voters see it, I think they'll put it in. And sometimes, again, you look at these Globes categories, sometimes they just want the big names there. You could argue some of Jennifer Lawrence's nominations in the past, some of those were to get her there back when she was an even bigger star than she is today. I mean, she's still a sizable star. She just doesn't. I don't think she works as much as she was before, obviously. But yeah, it's like that was part of it. Taylor Swift getting a few of her nominations and stuff. There's probably one or two other examples, but yeah, Sydney Sweeney kind of falls into that category. But then again, having not seen the film yet, almost everyone said that she is still really good in it. So yeah, not to say she's not deserving of a nomination, but that's a factor that I think could help get her in. And then Amanda Seyfried, I also have in here for The Testament of Anne Lee. That feels like, again, one that's it's kind of a bit of a dark horse to get in for Best Actress as well at the Oscars. She is a past nominee. That really helps you, especially if you have an open spot. And that one potentially, too, look for that one to be a sneaky contender in some of those tech categories as well. Could surprise us in either the production design or the costume design category, which always, I think always boosts your chances if you have a potential acting contender. Because how many times, I mean, and it happens, it does happen. We get those not rare, I should say, but because it used to be more common. But, we still get those. You get an acting nomination and the movie gets nothing else. We see those happen. We do see those happen. But in recent years, I have tried, because I usually get burned on them. I try not to put way too many of those in. But this year for Best Actress, I just think we're in a spot now. Unlike last year when every Best Actress nominee, I think, was in a Best Picture nominee as well, all the 5 nominees. I don't think we're on that track this year for Best Actress. Not quite. But anyways, other potential nominees. The first one I thought of here was Jodie Foster for A Private Life. It's not a movie that has a ton of buzz behind it, but it's just one of those that if it gets just enough buzz behind it, or just enough voters rather, to see it. And Jodie is a Globes darling. She's been nominated more times here than she has at the Oscars and various other award shows. That just feels like one that could really sneak up and surprise us. Tessa Thompson for Hedda is one that I've heard bandied about a little bit. Otherwise, it gets really slim after that, and just not a lot of buzz around some of the other contenders there. Let's go to the acting races in the musical or comedy races. For Best Actor, I have Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme out front. It kind of feels like this could be a moment for him to finally get one of those big wins. Now, he did win SAG last year for playing Bob Dylan and everything, but this could be a spot. He's kind of feels like in that kind of realm as Austin Butler, except maybe arguably more famous and everything, more sustained at this rate than Austin Butler was by the time he won for Elvis. And if Marty Supreme ends up being, nominated for 4 or 5 categories, then yeah, it might be undeniable. Brendan Fraser I have in second for Rental Family because he has a big old IOU again because of for him not winning for The Whale. And again, if Rental Family gets that film nomination as well, it might actually end up being a little tighter. Now, I think Timothée, he feels like a good, first place pick for me and everything. He feels like he's ahead and everything, but if they actually, when final voting comes down, we could actually see a huge surprise here, and we could see Brendan, if his film makes it in, I see a scenario where he actually makes it up on stage this time. Jesse Plemons I have in third for Begonia. He's a kind of a darling again. I saw a stat. I'm not sure how true this is, but I saw a stat that he has been an actor in more Best Picture nominees in the last 10 years than anyone else, and I feel like, okay, we're close. That's probably accurate. He is in a ton of movies. Usually he gets one of those key supporting roles like in The Post or Bridge of Spies or obviously Power of the Dog a few years ago and stuff. He feels like he just works enough that, yeah, he gets into a lot of these movies and stuff. But actually, another candidate I have in this category is Leo DiCaprio, of course, for One Battle After Another. He is also in a lot of Best Picture nominees when you think about it. So I think he's got a spot there as well to for that stat. But whatever. Point is, I have both of them in. George Clooney I have in 5th place for Jay Kelly, and of course you got to go Daniel Craig for Wake Up Dead Man. So I'm leaving out Hugh Jackman. I would normally I think Hugh Jackman would be a much better contender there for Song Sung Blue, and he could still very clearly he is one that could make it in. It's just going to be does the movie have enough behind it? The next one I would probably point to is Will Arnett for Is This Thing On? Then probably Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. I'll throw out a towel, or I'll throw out a lifeline rather to Liam Neeson for The Naked Gun. I kind of would like to see him get some attention for it and everything. He is a past Oscar nominee for Schindler's List years and years ago now, but yeah, as much fun as that movie was and stuff, I don't think it's going to be a gigantic player. Now to the actress side, I have Cynthia Erivo out front for Wicked. Again, I feel like if Emilia Perez was not there last year, or what actually won that category last year? I need to remind myself here. Wasn't it? Hold on. let's see here. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I don't think it would have been Cynthia last year. No. It was Demi Moore. Yeah, Demi Moore was going to win that thing. That's right. Yeah. And she actually beat out Mikey Madison as well. So, that was a bit of a surprise. But anyways, Cynthia very easily could win this race, though. In second place, I have Emma Stone. She's won a couple times, or at least once, as I recall, for La La Land. I was going to say, she did win for Poor Things, did she not? I'm 90% sure she did. Yeah, so, she's won a couple times. Begonia, and it feels like right now she is one of the better shots for that movie to get an acting nomination. Jesse Plemons, I think, will play in Best Actor, but I don't necessarily see him again as a slam dunk. Emma Stone, though, I think does have a good shot at getting a better chance at getting nominated. I do have Kate Hudson in, though, for Song Sung Blue. This one, not quite as big a competition here, not as deep a field. I think she could get in here. Eva Victor for Sorry Baby, a film. It didn't do extremely well at the box office. It's A24. Is kind of one of those critical darlings from earlier this year. I think she also directed the movie. So I think if she campaigns and if A24 campaigns this movie enough, I think she can get one of the 6 slots. Olivia Colman for The Roses, I think, a past winner here. For the TV side, right? Because she did not win, or did she win for? She did win for The Favorite too. Okay, I thought she won also on the TV side a few years ago as well. But yeah, she is a past winner here. It's it's a movie. It didn't do overwhelmingly well at the box office, but still had it was at almost 50 million worldwide. Past winner and everything. So again, definitely feels like there could be a spot here for her. And then I do have Rose Byrne in for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Again, feels like this is a spot where, this will be one of her easier shots to get in. She could surprise us, get in at SAG. This is definitely one of those early building blocks, though, for her, where if she misses the Globes in a field that's not extremely, extremely deep, then it feels like, okay, there's almost no shot for this thing to get in. For her. Otherwise, I would say other potential nominees. Laura Dern for Is This Thing On? Potentially, maybe. Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. They're campaigning her in lead right now. Again, I just don't get it. I don't get it for her for lead. She's a supporting role. The movie does not necessarily center around her. It centers around DiCaprio's character. I don't want to shout category fraud, but it just does not feel like I don't know if the voters are going to go for it. Like the Oscar voters across the broad academy, I just don't know if in the acting. How many are in the acting branch right now? I think it's almost. Oh shoot, I'd have to look it up. But I think it's over a few thousand in the acting branch. Are there really that many across the acting branch that look at that movie and walk away saying the movie's about the Chase Infinity character? I mean, she's one of the central characters in the film, but you could say Sean Penn is also one of the central characters. You could say DiCaprio is. For the early parts, Teyana Taylor is, and so on. It's like, I don't know. I just don't think that argument holds a lot of water for me, but I could, maybe it's just egg on my face at this point and I'm sounding like a jackass, but I just don't really, I'm not really seeing it for that particular thing. Otherwise, again, maybe Pam Anderson for The Naked Gun if that one goes over really well. Emma McKay for Ella McKay, possibly, but I don't sense a lot of momentum around that film either. Let's go to the supporting races here. For supporting actor, I have Stellan Skarsgård as the early frontrunner for Sentimental Value, then Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, Benicio del Toro also for One Battle After Another, Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, and Delroy Lindo for Sinners I have getting in. So I don't have Jeremy Strong for the moment, but he could very easily get a spot here. We could see potentially, if Wicked goes over really well, Jonathan Bailey. He got the surprise SAG nomination last year. Who knows? Miles Canton for Sinners. I'd still like to say that one has a little bit of a shot at happening, but it'll be close. He'd have to really, really campaign hard, and the voters would have to really, really get behind him. Jacob Elordi also for Frankenstein. I've heard some people say he has a good shot as well, but we'll see. And then in supporting actress, Elle Fanning is my still my front runner here as the placeholder. Then Ariana Grande, then Wunmi Masuka for Sinners, Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another, Inga Insblatter Lilias for Sentimental Value. And in sixth place, I'm going to go Emily Blunt for The Smashing Machine. She's been nominated at the Globes a bunch of times. Yeah, she just feels like one that it's like if she's in a movie, she's got something of a chance to get nominated, yeah. Otherwise, a couple other contenders. Amy Madigan for Weapons, maybe. Jennifer Lopez for Kiss of the Spider-Woman, maybe. Yeah, otherwise, if Marty Supreme goes over really, really well, Odessa Azion or potentially Gwyneth Paltrow could get in. And then if a House of Dynamite ends up going over really, really well, then Rebecca Ferguson supposedly has a decent supporting role in that as well. So that's also a possibility. And last category is screenplay. I have One Battle After Another out front, then Sentimental Value, Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and in sixth place, The Secret Agent. Yeah, I'm kind of going not super heavy on The Secret Agent. I don't have it breaking in for director just yet. I don't have it breaking in for like a supporting acting race or anything. I'm not sure if it's really got a huge argument for that just yet. But yeah, I have that one in sixth place. Other contenders, Jay Kelly is a contender here. It Was Just an Accident is a contender here. Begonia is a possible contender. No Other Choice. Wake Up Dead Man. And then maybe a House of Dynamite as well. Or possibly Is This Thing On? That could be one that maybe surprises us in the screenplay category. Again, I feel like with that one, we kind of mentioned it last time, but like original screenplay, it has something of an outside shot at this rate. If it can also land one of the, in a catch-all category that's both adapted and original screenplays, if it can get one of those 6 slots at the Globes, and it's not just a Globes thing, then yeah, that feels a little bit more secure, I think, for them at the Oscars. But we'll see. All right, so that's all we have for the Globes here. Otherwise, yeah, I don't no updates for me as far as movies I've seen. Oh shoot, do I have it with me? Hold on, hold on one second here. I will go ahead and start advertising now. This is, by the way, not the final version. I ordered one and I figured out that the setting was all wrong. Like, you can see how badly that is. I don't think there's any major spoilers on that page. But Prince of Genosha, it's the 3rd book in the Winterlon series. It's available now on Amazon. Go ahead and pick yourself up a copy if you are into it. Otherwise, this is the 3rd book in the series, so we have 2 other books out. Do I have them? I have, it's clear across the room. I picked up ordered some more copies of those here, but yeah, the other 2 books are also on Amazon. The Winterlon series, you can look it up on Amazon. It'll point you out for which ones, what the series order is and everything. Yeah, so I'll go ahead. I'll put a link in the description there if you would like to catch up with the series. Go ahead and order one of the copies of the first 2 books. You can get it paperback or Kindle for all 3. So yeah, I was busy finalizing that. That's part of the reason why I wasn't able to shoot videos way too often. The other thing too, 2 other things. Let me say this first. First of all, I have a kind of a mystery project that I'm working on. For those, you can hear that slam. It's over 300 pages this time. Yeah, these books are starting to get up there for my writing and stuff. But the mystery project I'm working on, I am almost at the halfway point. It's coming along much faster than the last mystery project, which was that big the Oscars What If series, where we went into 5 decades of films and said what other films could have been nominated if there were up to 10 nominees. If you have not checked that out, please, I would really recommend that. If you're an Oscar nut, you see almost all the nominated films every year, and you have been an Oscar nut for a while, go ahead and look back. I have the whole playlist set up and everything. I just did it kind of in a mixed order. I started with the 2000s, went back to the 70s, then up to the 90s, and then back to the 60s, and then ended on the 80s. But if you want to watch them in chronological by release order and stuff, that works as well. any order you please really works. But that one was just because I was a real novice at getting all the editing equipment and getting all the clips and everything. That was over a 2-year deal to put that all together. This new project, though, could be start to finish, could only be 6 months. It's going to be only about a roughly 39 to 40, 41 minute video. It's not going to be over long because the Oscar videos, when you put them all together, was almost 2 hours of material. This one will only be about 39, 40 minutes or so. It's going to be, it involves film, so there'll be a lot of film clips in it, but it's not, it's not really something we usually see get Oscar attention. I'll put it that way. There is a possibility if everything goes super well on it, and I have the time and I have the materials and stuff, and everything goes super well on it, could be ready by December. If not, I'll just say, and maybe this could be a little bit of a clue as to what it is, but there's a potential date in February that would be perfect for releasing it. I'll just say that. There's a date in February that could be perfect for releasing it. The only thing I would have to alter is, some of the opening script, because there's a certain timestamp that was this year. An anniversary of one of the films was this year. I'm giving away some stuff, but yeah, roughly about halfway through that one. So, when I have time, I'm working on that. So, there's that. And then the other thing too, I've talked about this before as like a potential thing, but I got really, really close this year, and not to say that I can't start it this year. But it would have been a lot better if I had started it, and actually, because it ended up, kind of being a blessing in disguise. I was not able to do it this year fully, like from the start. But God, there is just I feel like I could talk for like 4 hours right now straight on the various storylines that we have seen come out of, particularly this year, the college football season. I mean, it's been fucking nuts. There's literally almost 100 storylines going on right now. You could name a school right now, other than maybe like 1 or 2 schools right now, and you could say, well, there's kind of a narrative around that school right now. It's like for their season, there's all these peaks and valleys and all this stuff going on. We've seen almost double-digit number of coaches be fired, not even to November, which is an extreme rarity for the football season and stuff. NFL season's been kind of fun. I try to watch that a little bit where I can and stuff. Not quite as many storylines this year with that, because usually there's 1 or 2 other more exciting things. But this year it's like, okay, it's like there's 1 or 2 things to talk about there as well. We're just on the precipice. Next week is the start of the college basketball season for men's and women's. We'll have the other major sport I follow is because there's 5 major sports I follow, which is college football, NFL, men's and women's college basketball, and then college softball. I also really follow really, really well. And speaking of books, I'm not going to say, but I have one other book that I'm kind of writing right now. I'm doing, I have the first draft in the works, but I'm trying to get, so I've got like 6 or 7. When I get down to it, there's probably like 5 or 6, active projects I'm working on besides shooting videos here when I can. So I do keep myself busy, but I have that kind of also in the back of my mind, kind of one thing. That though, if it turns out the way I'm thinking, because it's a much more mapped out. Not to say that the Winterlon series is not mapped out, because that's pretty mapped out. I've got pages. It's obviously not here, but that I'll show you. But I've got pages of notes of like where the series is going, specific events that are going to happen, certain characters that are going to do certain things at certain times, and all that. Because you have to map that shit out, otherwise you're kind of doomed. But anyhow, I do have though for this other book project I'm working on, I have quite a bit of it mapped out. I know where the beginning, where it goes. It's going to be one of those part 1, part 2, part 3 things, presumably all in one book, though. I do not want to do this as like a multiple, make it into a small series or anything. No, I would like to have this be one big book. But man, if it goes into the details that I'm thinking right now with some of the stuff, it could be, this thing could be 500, 600, 700 pages if it goes into that great a detail. But it's at the early stages. I can't, 100% confirm what it's going to be, but But yeah, I've been telling one or two family members because it deals with more in the sports world. I'll say that. Which my family's always big into sports. They like their movies too. Don't get me wrong, but they really 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 like their sports. So it's been one of those where it's like, yeah, I'll write one or two things about movies, on the past, on Cultured Vultures, for example, and stuff like that. Or I'll write my book series, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. But I tell them I'm writing a sports book. Their eyes light up, and they're like, "Ooh, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more." Yeah, I've got Grease back there somewhere. I've got a very small collection of vinyl records too. You know a lot about me now, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'm also kind of working on that, but that would be one of those things where if it comes out the way I'm kind of planning and writing it out and thinking about it. That could be one of the very best things I've ever done as a project, if it all comes together really well. So that could be one where it's like, I don't want to just do it on Amazon, which is fine. It's fine. This Winterlon series is I'm kind of breaking in, and I don't mean in a big way, breaking in as an author or anything, but like breaking myself in, like the discipline of how to write, getting into the groove of it, knowing, when to stop, when to start and everything. All that stuff. And now it's like, okay, this next one, if it's strong enough, man, this might be one where I'm like, okay, let me try to get my foot in the door for a couple major publications and stuff, and see who is really interested. But again, that one is probably a year or two out from being like done. Because we're just talking a first draft here, and I've only got like maybe 30, 35, 40 pages put together. So long ways to go in that. But so yeah, just so you guys know, yeah. But getting back to the other stuff, I was thinking of considering this, and I don't think I would put the material on this channel. It would start its own channel. And I've thought enough about it that I know what the title of the channel would be. It'd be the Tuesday Afternoon Armchair Quarterback would be the name of the channel, but it wouldn't just be about football shit. It would be again, it would have been great to start it like late August and stuff. Because every week, I won't go into it right now because we're already kind of over time and stuff here. But every week I do I do a ranking of the college football teams. I don't do a power rankings for the NFL, but I know some people do. But I do it for college football. And I've been, this has kind of been the year where I'm like, ooh, I kind of, and I wanted to kind of start, but the problem just is time. It's like, because if I want to talk with that, I could literally talk about all the four power conferences and stuff. If I really wanted to, I could break down every last game. Now, not that I've watched every last lick of every last game, because I'm a guy, I don't have the multi-view. I have a Hulu subscription. I do have Red Zone on YouTube when we get to NFL, so I'm able to watch all the games and stuff. But I don't record all the games. I don't, spend every waking moment rewatching film. I'm also a guy who has never played a snap of football in my life, not even flag football. So as far as being the experienced person of like playing the sport, knowing all the positions, knowing all the in talk and everything, I'm not that guy. It would definitely be a bird's eye or nosebleed, if you will, view of this is what I see. I like this. I think this quarterback does well here, or this defensive team made great adjustments second. I would name stuff like that. It would be again a very basic analysis. It would not be super in depth. I know a lot of people that are in the sports world. They love to go to all the sports shows and talk shows, particularly sports talk shows, where you have former players, you have former athletes, you have long tenured analysts and people, sports writers in the case of like, pardon the interruption and stuff, long tenured people that know this stuff inside and out, and it's all they do. Sports is not all I do. I love this movie stuff. I love doing Oscar stuff. I love predicting all this stuff. And I love movies too. But it's like, yeah, sports is also, kind of, you go from left side of the brain to right side of the brain, and so on and so forth. I think because it's inverted here, I think I did that right, because in real life, this is left, this is right for me when I'm recording this. But anyways, it's one of those things too where it's like, yeah, I can switch my brain easily and go into that sports mode and stuff. And I do feel like, yeah, if I had the time and I could find a spot, then yeah, I could record, and it could, we could talk to death about all this stuff. I'd be like, okay, this week, Ohio State, how'd they do in their matchup? Really good, blah, blah, blah. And we go into it for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe not 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes per game. The big games, though, like if we were covering like the Broncos when they had to come all the way back and beat the Giants a couple weeks ago in the NFL, for example, that would be like a 5, 6, 7 minutes, let's actually dive in type of reaction or whatever. But the thing with that would just be figuring out time. Again, since it's Tuesday afternoon, armchair quarterback, I would definitely have to like get it like out by Tuesday. And it would be, okay, well, how much do we cover in that video? It's like, because if we cover everything for NFL and college, that could be 6 hours. It could take that long to get into this. Here's what happened this week. Here's the projections for this week. If we're covering, like, personally, I do some sports betting as well, because I do every last thing in the world. I do make it to the gym once in a while too, just so you know. It's like anything else, like, yeah, it's like I've named all the shit I'm working on and stuff. But yeah, anyhow, but it's like, okay, well, with that too, it's like, what do we think about this week's matchups? It's like, is, Texas is somehow favored home against Vandy. How do we feel about that? Or, is like this next week in football, NFL, the Green Bay Packers are 12-point favorites at home against the Panthers. It's like, is that realistic? Could they completely blow them out? It's like, who knows? And we could get into that as well and kind of break down the anticipated what we anticipate to happen in the matchups this week. So that, that alone is probably like an hour's worth of content. And that's to cover probably both. Recapping what's happened before, that could be hours long especially if we have to go in depth on like major games. So it's crazy. It could be, crazy lengths. And at this point, it's just the time commitment is just gigantic. It's just really a big step. It's like, I don't know. It's like, would I have enough of an audience to where I could, quit the day job and actually go full time into it? If I, in a perfect world, sure, I could do, a couple hours of sports talk, put that out as almost either a daily or a twice weekly or maybe 3 times weekly show. Talk about the Oscars once every week or every other week or whatever when it gets popular and stuff. When we get into the busy times, yes, then we do a video at least a week, and then sometimes multiple videos a week when we get like a major award ceremony announcing their nominees and stuff. Yeah, in a perfect world, yes, absolutely, but. I just, at this point, I just don't have, the full-time commitment where I can do that. But I still, as a hobby, as something I'd love to do on the side, I'm glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are great to watch, great watch along for movies and stuff as well. We'll talk about, the movies and stuff in the comments and everything. I kind of like comments there as well. But yeah, if I were to do a sports thing, it would have to, I would set it as its own channel. It would not, come in here. Because I feel like, again, it's like when I've done some stuff like, almost every year on this particular channel, I'll do March Madness predictions and stuff. They're usually dead wrong. This year I did pick both the men's and the women's correctly, so I finally got one right. But, and actually, what did I get? I got out of the final 4, if you combine both those 8 teams, I got 6 out of 8 for men's and women's. It's like, okay, I was on the ball this year for picking that. But yeah, otherwise, so I'd love to talk about it. And then the sports show, it would almost be year round because I would start in late August, the weekend of week 0, so it'd be the second to last weekend of August. And it would go till probably June when the softball season ends. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, this last year I also tried to get a little bit more into WNBA, which is a shit show right now with the commissioner, all the stuff happening there. And then also the salary stuff, how the players are going to get paid and all that. That seems like, because we literally showed... because we haven't been talking about it at the family there the other day, and my mother's like, well, what's the average WNBA player get paid? And by the way, I'm going to break this down for you. Yeah, the average salary for a WNBA player is $102,249. The average NBA salary, average, $11.91 million. Yeah. So when we break it down, I think I'm going to do, hold on, do I have an extra zero in there? Hold on. Nope, I needed that extra zero. What was the other number? 102,249, that's right. That's an increase, or basically when you break it down, NBA players on average get paid 116.48 times as much money as a WNBA player. So the whole, how are we going to do, how's that going to break down, restructuring all that for the female players? As much as, WNBA can be fun to watch and everything, and as much as all that goes, I'm sorry, but it's like at this rate, and I hate to make a really rough comparison here because I know a lot of people, that are in the sports world will grill me for this. But remember when the women's soccer teams and stuff, like the world's soccer team and everything, Rapinoe and all those, they were all like screaming how they needed to get paid more. The thing is, what drives all this stuff, as much as, you have your avid fans and everything, as much as, you have people that scream from the rooftops that it's like the best sport ever, what really drives all this stuff is money, endorsements, commercials. How does the NFL charge as much as they do? Money. Seemingly everyone watches the NFL, right? Seemingly in the sports world. If you're into sports at all, NFL usually is something you watch. NBA, maybe a little less so. NHL, maybe a little less so. And in college world, yeah, we've seen college football have a big rise. College basketball has shrunk a little bit in its markets. For men's particularly. Women's has risen compared to previous years. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. Hawkeye represent, right? But, but it's like, okay, and we saw, I think the numbers last year were still pretty solid. And for the other sport I follow pretty well, college softball, they have gone from tape delay to, some of their big games, they're getting multi-million viewers. So it's going the right direction. It's obviously not where we'd love it to be right now, and everything. And WNBA can definitely say the same thing. It's like, at this rate, it's the same thing as the Women's Soccer League. It's like, can you get the viewers? Can you get the big endorsements and the big, commercial backers and stuff? And, WNBA, for their credit, they did make a deal with USA Network, which is a fairly common one across all the cable channels and stuff. So they'll be much more accessible. Because in this last year, I kind of sat down and I'm like, okay, let me try to get into WNBA because I know some more of the players now. Obviously, Caitlin Clark's been there a couple years. Angel Reese, the rivalry between those two is always fun. And by the way, I always liked Angel Reese more than, I know a lot of people just view her as like a villain and stuff, but it's like, I genuinely she is genuinely very talented and actually a really good player and stuff. So I've always, outside of when she was bad-mouthing the Iowa team here a few years ago, it's like, okay, yeah, there's the competitor and he comes out and stuff. Like when they won the title, they were a little like, I remember being in a bigger spot here in central Iowa. And it was like a big spot for like the championship game for college that year when it was Iowa versus LSU. The C word was thrown around quite a bit when her face showed up on screen. I'll just say that. Sorry, but it's true. It's an absolutely true story. But yeah, so there's definitely some people that do not like Angel Reese, and she definitely has played the villain role in some of her stuff. But underneath that, I think she is a very extremely talented player. For sure. But regardless, just had to get that off my chest. Because I've followed some of the college players and stuff for women's basketball, it's like, okay, am I ready to take that leap into WNBA? And the number one problem was I wasn't able to watch hardly any of the games. Like, again, just the cable package I have with Hulu and stuff, if it wasn't on ABC, it wasn't on ESPN, I wasn't able to watch it because Ion channel don't have it. That's where like 80% of the games were. I didn't invest in the WNBA pass or whatever. Now this next year, as I follow another kind of group going into the major league, there I feel like that could be a spot where I would think it's it's worth the investment to follow it more closely and get the pass and everything and continue watching it more so than this last year. Yes, absolutely. But the other problem with that too was I would get to like a couple rosters and I look up and down the roster. It's like, I'm sorry, I've not followed WNBA extremely long, so like the Phoenix Suns or whatever, like or Mercury or whoever that just won the title. Which, by the way, sorry, but if you're going to a 7-series game for your championship and the team wins it in 4, that doesn't generate a ton of buzz. Straight sweeps like that are generally not good. I always say that about sports too, just in general. Dynasties are killers sometimes for expanding your following. It's like, okay, could you argue a little bit that NFL audiences were a little lower back in the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era? Arguably, just a tiny, tiny bit, because everyone kind of knew the Patriots were going to win by the end of the year, no matter how bad they were regular season. We kind of saw the same thing over the last 5 years in Oklahoma in college softball. It's like this year was a make it or break it year for me personally as a fan, because I was like, I'm not gonna follow the sport if I just know no matter how bad Oklahoma plays regular season, they're gonna end up winning in the World Series. It's like I don't care. I just don't care. If I know already who's gonna win at the end, why would I invest the time and energy to watch all these other games and see all these other teams that are just gonna come up short later? It's like that's my attitude, at least. I'm not a huge fan of dynasties, but. Anyways, I feel like I've rambled way too much. You see what I mean? I can cover this shit for a while, right? We can get invested in this. But again, it would have to be its own thing. As it would still retain that title even when we're talking like when we get into college basketball only season, when it's like through late February, March, and parts of April and stuff. When it's like that's otherwise we'll get some early softball at that time too. And we'll have free agency in NFL, and the transfer portal will have closed for college football by that time too. But anyways, it's like we can still cover some of that stuff. But again, it's like I would love to do like either. I don't think I could do a daily show again unless I quit my day job, which is not happening anytime soon. But it's like if I could, if I had the if I had the following and stuff, sure, I'd love to do it. But again, I would, and again, if I did it, I couldn't just do it where I'm like, okay, I'll do a show now, and then the timing was perfect this week. I could get everything I wanted out in a couple videos or whatever, or maybe one video a week, however we want to break it down. But maybe like for the next 3 weeks, I'm watching movies, and I have to go to the theater twice a week to watch the latest thing to keep up on the Oscars, and then I have to do whatever writing projects. Or if I'm trying to just watch the games, it's like, okay, well, I can't talk about the games as I'm watching them. It's like, that doesn't work. That doesn't really work for me. I need to, have time to think about it and recuperate and stuff and figure it out, and all that. So yeah, it would be, it's like I can't guarantee that I'd be able to maintain that regular schedule. So. Again, I'd love to do it, but it's just I don't know if we do it this year. It's going to be a big thing, because especially like if I start doing it like as college basketball starts here pretty soon, like maybe after a few weeks of it, that's also right in the thick, right when we start to see some of these award shows start to open up. That's right around a holiday season. The college football playoffs will be starting to be decided. It would be crazy. It'd be absolutely crazy. And I would, oh man, what little, social life I have would be just completely obliterated at that point. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm sorry for rambling for so long and getting into so many, diversions and, not keeping you on the tracks here. But yeah, I did want to talk about all that stuff and kind of get some feelers out there for like, because I know it's like I've asked it before where it's like, would anybody watch it? And it's like, yeah, 1 or 2 people said yeah. But if I launch it as its own channel and stuff and give it a distinct title and all that, then I might be able to break out a little bit, and find some new people that would have not seen any of the regular content here. But hard to say. And time, we only have so much of it, right? It's one of the few things we can't control in life, typically. So. All right, so forgive me for all the big rambling, but that's all we got for today. We'll be back next week. We'll talk the tech categories of the Oscars. We haven't talked about them. If there's any films I see in the meantime, we'll cover that as well. I'm not planning. I don't think I'll get to anything this week for new films to watch, but yeah. And again, I'll put a description down below for where to find, or in the description below, I'll tell you where to find the Winterlon books. So if you haven't gotten any copies of those yet, again, Kindle, if you have the whatever that is, where you can buy, or rent whatever books you want to, add them to your library, whatever, you can do that. Or if you would prefer a paperback, you can also do that as well. So, all right, that's all I got. We will catch you guys next week.